What mechanisms are in place today that prevent you from having the same financial success as anybody else in this country?
Does inheritance exist under capitalism?
I'm giving I'm asking you to answer this question.
Because I've asked two questions now that were ignored. I asked you this.
I feel like you want to be confrontational more than you want to get to the bottom of a conversation. Hundreds of years ago, 60 years ago, I'm asking you right now, do those things that happened then have a profound negative effect on black people in perpetuity? We've had people try it, review it, and the feedback has been absolutely amazing. Whether you choose guilty or not guilty, you're getting a premium bourbon with flavor, style, and a brand that stands out. Not Guilty has the smooth sweetness people love, and Guilty brings the bold, classic bourbon character. All you gotta do is go to verdictbourbon.com, plead your age, and face the verdict for yourself. You must be 21 and older. Please drink responsibly. How are you?
Good, I'm Zena. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Okay, so black people hurt black people more than anyone else hurts black people.
Okay.
My question to you is why?
Well, that's a really good question. I think that it stimulates from a few different facets. And I think a lot of them are responsible, but for the most part, by black people. When you are not raised in a loving household, and you're not protected, you don't have a father in the household, those things lead to devastating outcomes. Young men doing things they're not supposed to do, like we see in modern society, these young YNs. All of these things are contributing factors to decisions that we make.
Okay, cool. So what you're describing is a byproduct of poverty, right? And what we know under a capitalist system is that poverty compounds over time in history as well as wealth. And what has happened systematically as well as systemically in this system is that black people have been pushed away from wealth-creating mechanisms. This has happened for generations, even past slavery. Even if we were to argue that after slavery, nothing else happened. There was no Jim Crow laws, there was no redlining, there was no unequal implementation of the GI Bill, we would still see that our country has lived under the disenfranchisement of black people longer than it has been free. So my question is, what do you think accounts for the $4 to $16 trillion that was stolen from black people through slavery? Where does that equalizing mechanism?
I don't believe that you can say that money was stolen from black people during slavery.
Oh, but
let me explain. Because money wasn't stolen, opportunities were not there because black people were slaves. That's not a fair comparison.
So imagine this, you got 200 people on a plantation and they're making you millions and millions of dollars, right, a year, through their labor, right? So what happens is there's no money to steal because black people weren't granted the humanity
to be compensated for the value that they created. Well, let's look at it like this. This is an environment and a dispensation of time where slavery was a fact and a reality around the world.
And we live under capitalism, right?
Let me explain. So it's not like it was somehow uniquely.
Oh, it was very unique to the West.
It's not uniquely in the United States of America.
Chattel slavery?
Majority of the slaves
Do you want to compare
were in South
chattel
America.
slavery?
Let me just give you an example. Majority of the slaves were in South America. You do agree to that. About 400,000 black people were made slaves over time.
Why are we pivoting the conversation? My question was—
We're not pivoting anything. You jumping around.
No.
Let's stick to something where we can have
Do you remember the question I asked you around 2 minutes ago? I asked you this.
I feel like you want to be confrontational more than you want to get to the bottom of a conversation. You're saying—
It's unfortunate that that's the way that you feel about how I'm trying to approach a question.
We need to stick to a point.
What's the equalizing mechanism? $4 to $16 trillion, right, was the revenue that was created through the unpaid labor that came from chattel slavery.
In my opinion, you cannot judge slavery and act as if black people even had a fair chance in the first place.
That's what I'm talking about here.
Let me explain. We need to talk in terms of after slavery was abolished, what opportunities were presented to black people.
If we do that, we cut out around 2/3 of the story, right? So what I told you before, right? We live under capitalism, and if we live under capitalism, what we know is a couple things. Wealth comes from capital, and capital compounds, right, value. So what happens is property taxes—
Are you trying to say that inevitably black people will never have an opportunity to be successful in America? Is that what you're saying?
I'm explaining something really, really crucial here that will help you.
Can you answer that? Because I think we'll be on the same
platform. You can't interrupt me when we're not having the same conversation.
I'm trying to get to a point where we can have a real discussion.
If it is the case that property taxes, right, fund our school systems, build them up, okay? And we see redlining literally labeled neighborhoods where black people were living as inharmonious, full of inharmonious racial groups to the point where they couldn't get the mortgage, right? This was 60 years ago? Grandparents, parents, right, who experienced that inability to have a home. 2/3 of the middle class gets their generational wealth from properties. Where's this equalizing mechanism? Why do you expect there to be a similar playing field?
Okay, I think we're going to go in circles if we go back in time. What mechanism?
Oh, we got to.
I'm saying that we're going to get to a standstill. What mechanisms are in place today that prevent you from having the same financial success as anybody else in this country?
Does inheritance exist under capitalism?
I'm giving you, I'm asking you to answer this question.
Because I've asked two questions now that were ignored.
What mechanism in place currently prevents you from being financially successful as anybody else in this country?
The continuity of private property, right? So I'm answering the question.
Are you not allowed to own property?
That's not the question here. It's who had access to property.
No, we know. Let's put it this way, because we're going to get into an argument in circles.
I don't think it's going in circles. I think you're not answering the question.
Here's the thing that we can agree on.
I asked 2 questions.
Let me say, there's the thing that we can agree on. We can agree that there was discrimination in this country. We can agree that there's some elements of...
Do you agree that inheritance exists?
We can agree that there's elements of things that happen in this country that put black people behind. We can agree to that.
Okay.
But what I'm telling you is that we cannot still live 60 years ago
We're living in the future.
And act as if we don't have an opportunity today.
Here, let me...
We could break down redlining. We can go through the process of all these different things.
Let me address it.
Because I don't think that we're telling the full story about redlining. I don't think we're telling the full story about economic opportunity for black people in America today.
I think you're right. So white families, on average, have a 10 times higher median household income than black people.
Why is that?
And that's what I want to answer for you.
Let me answer it.
No.
Let me answer it for
you. You asked me a question. Why are you answering the question that you asked to me for you?
You just let me answer the question for you.
No, I don't want you to answer it for me because I want to answer. I want to participate in it back and forth.
Okay, come on.
The reason is because wealth in this country is passed down. The biggest, in 2020, they projected that $765 billion, right, was passed down through gifts and bequests to the American population, right, the middle class, and that's just the middle class. That is the majority way that wealth funnels down in this country.
Are you saying that black people are not currently able to have financial success in this country just like white people?
I'm saying that we're comparing a tortoise to a hare right now.
I don't think that's true. Are you alluding
true.
to the fact? Let's talk about redlining real quick, because I think that it's been disproportionately represented. When you talk about redlining, do you know? And I think it's good for the crowd to understand this, that in the red line districts, 92% of all the people who live in the red line districts were white. Are you aware of that?
Where is this source coming from? Redlining specifically labeled...
Do you not know this as a fact?
Okay, how about this? The underwritings of the HOLC specifically said that black groups, right, were seen as inharmonious groups that we should be very wary. No. Let's look it up. The fact check will be somewhere here or here for you.
FHA,
right? It said
that's what the
inharmonious
FHA,
groups.
That's
black
what the
people were titled
determined.
as FHA. Okay, they both work together.
No, they did not work together. They were different.
No, they were different, but they worked together.
Guys, you do have to pause. You've been voted out. Thank you.
You're back.
I am. So I do want to isolate this cause, you think, of black disenfranchisement just over the course of history, because the thing I keep hearing you say is culture, right? But in psychology, we have this debate between nature and nurture, all right? Okay. Every decision, the patterns that come from different populations can be caused by either one of two things. It's like your material conditions, okay, this is the culture you're talking about. This is like attitudes, okay, and behavioral patterns. Or it's like genetically, in some way, you are different from other populations. Like you naturally have less of an inclination towards success. So for black people, I have to ask you, which one is it?
No, I definitely don't think black people have a less inclination towards success because of some DNA makeup.
Perfect.
Black people do have a DNA, I guess, expression that makes them a lot more proficient in sports. I mean, that's an advantage. But when you're talking about, like, your point is very broad. Systemic racism, does it affect you today, and does it affect your life moving forward? I do not believe so.
If you believe that nurture, right, is the cause, right, of black people acting differently, it's not something biological here. You have to ask, okay, when it comes to culture...
it can be in part biological.
Biologically,
generational trauma could be biological.
But that comes from, like, again, social standards, okay, issues that are replicated from the material conditions. When I say material conditions, I'm talking about what is around you, what is the infrastructure of your life, okay? What systems are you born into, okay? So if we can recognize that, right, is where the cause is lying, my question to you is gonna be, again, where has this equalizer been, right, in the whole status quo between white folks and black folks?
Let's put it this way. I I'm hoping that we can get to a conclusion of understanding, because you keep saying black people as if we uniquely are the only people who are dealing with certain issues in poverty. White poor people experience a lot of similar things as black people.
But not segregation and not redlining.
It's not.
Right?
But when you say redlining, when I just told you when you look at the historicity of redlining, majority of the people who were in the red line district were white.
I can't wait for the fact check for this one.
92%.
I'm going to be so
I'm going to tell you right
honest
now.
with you.
Okay.
No, black.
92%. Listen to me.
Race
Let me explain it.
was explicitly a factor.
No, it was not explicitly a factor.
Oh, it was, and I can't wait for the fact check to show that part too.
I hope they do. When you're talking about the creation of the red line from the HOLC corporation, there's a lot of things in my mind. When you look at the delineation line, when they drew the red line, that was after discrimination had already existed.
And what did the red lines do?
The red lines were more of a revelation of what was happening, more so than a demarcation that created it, because they had already been there. None because you haven't looked it up. That's why. That's why you haven't looked it up. I did a lot of looking up. You didn't do enough. So some of these discriminatory practices by lenders occurred way before there was a red line. The negative effects of redlining affected white people and black people.
How about this?
Disproportionately affecting black people.
How about this? Let's get back to the cause of black individuals' strife in America, okay? I want you to isolate again, for me, if it's not biological, where is this culture coming from? How does it happen?
It's like, for instance, when you look at black culture, 30s, 40s, 50s, it's very different than today. There was no gangster hip hop music that was talking about killing and thugging and smashing every day. That didn't exist. Black families were intact at a higher rate. Black entrepreneurship was up. Education was prioritized in the black community. We begin to see that degrade over time. So it's impossible almost to say slavery caused black people to be here. We're not accounting for the explosion of success here in the black community. And I'm saying that the degrading of culture, people falling away from God, not marrying the people they have children with, all of those contributing factors that are perpetuated by black people has caused a lot of the problems that we see
when
today.
We talk about things like rap music, okay, when we talk about the hip hop and whatever,
yeah,
what is being talked about in these songs? It's obviously shootings, okay? It's like life experiences are what are being discussed, okay? And when we look at those life experiences, they're much more so being concentrated in black areas, and that was true in the 30s and 40s and 50s.
No, it was nowhere near.
Hold on.
It was nowhere near the concentration.
I would love to see the statistics.
Was there Bloods and Crips in the 30s?
I want to get three sentences out.
Go ahead.
That's important in this debate. Okay, so once again, 30s, 40s, 50s, there was segregation. Again, we all know this.
But black people still persevered through.
And that wasn't even one sentence I got out. You recognize that?
We got the time limit.
Yeah, we got time going down. And for us to be on the same page, we have to understand the same kind of history. So I didn't get any, there was no statistic or there's no kind of facts about the wealth in the 30s or 40s, 50s that you gave me, hold on, right? What I'm trying to tell you, right, is that this disparity has existed even in those times you're talking about, where there wasn't any, expressions of culture that had to do with music. There was still disenfranchisement. There was still a lack of resources. HBCUs were still underfunded in those time periods. And we saw that black people, for the most part, did not have home equity, which is the greatest way that you can essentially create generational wealth. That was all true.
But yes, some of what you're saying is true, but I don't think it's the end all be all in success of black people today. Like, for instance, all of the things that you're referring to, hundreds of years ago, 60 years ago, I'm asking you right now, do those things that happened then have a profound negative effect on black people in perpetuity?
Of course, and I'll tell you why.
I have to stop here. The clock has run out.
That's why.
I'm so sorry. Thank you, guys.